everyone, to episode 587 of Just Joshing. Can you believe that? That's a scary number, 587. And I'm with my guest all the way from across the continent, across the world, Liz Butcher. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
My usual serious self. I've been just, kind of adjusting. I'm in a slightly better place. I'm slowly becoming a look more and more civilized on the air, little by little here now.
Oh
COVID hair's gone, just completely gone now. So I don't got that.
wow.
Yeah,
I can't actually see, so I can't see the new hairstyle.
you can't see.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I used to have like this ridiculous like puffy long hair thing going on, and now
Yeah.
it's like, nope, all gone, all gone. I was challenged. So my next audio episode that goes up tomorrow, I had a life coach on. It kind of changed like, what do you want to kind of, where do you see yourself? And I said, well, I want to take this show on the road and interview people and look, and what does that look like? And I'm like, okay, so let's slowly make that happen. Like not quite fake it till you make it, but just take the steps you can to actually be it, and let
Yeah.
everything else just work its way through. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And
Sound advice.
yeah, it's very good sound advice, I think. How about you? What have you been up since we last chatted, which was about 100 episodes ago?
Yeah.
Right? What have you been up to?
Oh, just working my butt off. So got the ghost writing's going really well. And I released my most recent novel in April. So yeah, it's been a crazy busy year.
So, you liking the ghostwriting?
Yeah, I do. I really enjoy it. I mean, it allows me to write full time. So what's not to love about that? But
Yeah, exactly.
um, yeah, no, it's going really well.
Yeah. So, how'd you get into it?
Um, can't even really remember. I think another writing friend of mine started doing it. They were actually my editor for my first two books, and then they ended up stop editing because they started writing full time for themselves, and then they were doing ghost writing as well. And I'd never really kind of considered it. I thought ghost writing, I don't know, it was just for people to write biographies or something. I didn't really know a lot about it. But I looked into it and yeah, I just jumped in with both feet, set up my company and lots of clients later. And yeah, writing full time. It's just, I'm sort of still pinching myself a little bit, to be honest. But yeah, loving it.
Well, no, it's good. I mean, you made it, and that's really all that really matters is that you made it, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, which is that's always a cool thing. I
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
yeah. I mean, I the hardest thing for me when I was like when I started freelancing was like I had to figure out like kind of what does that look like for me,
Yeah.
because I mean there's a lot. I think one of the things, the big temptations a lot of creatives get to, it's like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and I can be awesome at all these things. But the truth of the matter is, if you spread yourself out too thin, you get nothing done.
Yeah.
You have to pick and choose. Some people it's ghostwriting. Some people it's like I've been pursuing like little articles and stuff like that on the side, and I've got a few published already this year, and I got more coming, and that's always a cool thing. And but like that's kind of where I see myself going. I mean, as I get that myself built up that way, and then like ghostwriting, I don't know. Like I don't know if ghostwriting is my thing. I feel like I'm much better being the mad scientist experimenter I am in other places. Not that there's anything wrong with ghostwriting. It's just being honest about what you are like. What do you do? Right. I think there's a gut check writers have to kind of make with themselves, or any creative. What do you want to do? Where do you see this going? What's the thing? And the other thing too, I have an incredibly big mouth. I think that would like the universe would be denied, would be just denied if I just suddenly just shut up. Maybe I'm crazy thinking that, but I just that's just kind of how I see it.
Hey, it's a talent. So
Yes, it's really cool. So, what do you prefer, like your own stuff or ghostwriting?
oh, definitely my own stuff. Because it's mine. So
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah,
Um, but yeah, I guess the ghostwriting, I haven't had as much time as I originally thought I would to work on my own projects. So that's something I'm sort of working on improving. But it's also fun doing the ghostwriting because I write things that I wouldn't write for myself. So it's exposure to other genres and even like nonfiction type stuff. So I think overall it's making me a better writer for those reasons. But yeah, so I guess my stuff is my genres that I write in, and then there's a little bit of crossover with the ghostwriting, but it's also fun to do genres that I wouldn't write for myself. It just keeps it interesting. Just it's a lot of mixture of different things.
Well, I think it's like a good resume builder too, because suddenly now like again, because you just something you just said, like you get this opportunity now to try your hand at different things. And the one
Mm,
advantage to that is, well, even let's just, I'm not saying you suck, but let's just say it's not something you want to do,
yeah,
right? You learn it really quickly. That's not me. Like I might be able to do this once just because I'm getting paid. I'm a professional, but I ain't doing this again. On the other
yeah,
hand, you might discover a genre that you never thought was like maybe you're writing I always use this as a joke, a penguin zombie apocalypse story. Like, you know what? This is like the coolest thing ever,
yeah,
right? All right, and like generally speaking, thriller crime novels are very popular in ghostwriting, and a lot of authors actually enjoy writing them because they're very simple. Nonfiction. So the only time I ever, like, I think maybe this is the thing about me about ghostwriting. The only time I ever was offered to ghostwrite, because the worst nightmare you have as a writer is someone coming up to you and going, "Hey, you know what you should write? My biography." And you're like, "Oh God." Right, all right. Because at first you're like, okay, I could totally do that, and then you hear the details and stuff like that, and you're like, no, actually, I probably shouldn't do that. You have no idea what you're doing. And for me, there's one particular story. I was living in Phoenix at the time, and there's this guy that wanted me to come do a story. So he wanted me to meet him at his place in Mesa, which is like a town in Phoenix, but it's in like I'm not one of the happier neighborhoods. So I show up at like a certain time, knock on the door, nobody's home. Look around me, like I don't know if I should be here. I like after about 15 minutes, I just failed, and I was like, nope, never for me. That's my ghostwriting experience. Somehow I feel yours is a lot better than mine.
yeah. Well, I haven't really met any of my clients in person, so I suppose there's that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I, it's kind of weird. I'm actually doing a biography as one of my projects at the moment. I've got about half a dozen clients, and one of them is a biography, and that is challenging because it's a completely different way of writing, and you got to really weed through things and put them together in a cohesive sort of format. But yeah, it's definitely different doing a biography as opposed to writing fiction stories.
I imagine so, because a biography, like a person's life, like I can just think about my
Yeah.
experiences in 40 years and like, what do I want to talk about?
Mm,
And the thing is, all of us have like these great little stories that actually can really speak to who you are as a person.
mm,
But do they fit the story you're trying? Like sometimes there's an image you want to convey. I'm not saying that's always the best approach to a biography. I like biographies that have a little bit of that authentic humanity to them,
yeah.
on top of the research, but just a little bit of a human approach to it. Because yeah, the facts are nice and all, but I like that those human experiences of what they went through. That's a very that's eye opening, because it shows
Yeah.
we're all like not that different. But at the same time, all right, I might have a great love story that would be an awesome thing, and just to tell that story. But I don't know that's not necessarily that's the story people are going to need to
Mm,
read when I'm talking about, let's say I'm a leader, like I'm some kind of life coach or a leader. Well, I mean, I might talk about my relationships a little bit, but I don't know if you really need that particular story. And I imagine that's a lot of like there's a lot of decision making that goes into a biography.
yeah. And I think also, I guess what I'm finding to be probably the biggest challenge is that they're providing me with all these memories and things, but trying to actually piece them together into a cohesive read is quite challenging because you can't just have, you know, an endless list of memories. It's got to flow like a story. So that's quite challenging, sort of as well, and trying to tease out more information about certain memories and yeah, it's different.
Are you interviewing that person a lot as well?
Yeah, yeah. So obviously we haven't met in person there in the States, and he sends me a lot of voice recordings, which is a lot easier. I'm finding. So I'll shoot him off questions about things I need to know or want to know or need more information about, and he'll just send me back audios, which I can then just listen to and sort of take out the bits that I need and work that way. So that the process is working well. It's just trying to piece it all together.
Gotcha. So it's one. So you're doing a biography. What are the other genres you're kind of playing with right now?
Yeah, so I'm also doing a 5-part sci-fi series. I'm doing a 7-book young adult fantasy series. I do sleep stories for a fitness app. What else have I got going on? Oh, just a couple of other ones that they've been written, but needed to be worked on, if that makes sense. So not editing exactly, like still ghostwriting, but helping kind of pull work together and make them, I guess,
Tightening the gears of the
yeah,
story a
and
little bit.
padding
Like
out where needed. Like, yeah, just the basic bones are there, but just needs a little helping hand.
I need you to polish this because I use the word "very" a lot here, here, and here, and I need help because I don't communicate as well here as I should. No, it's part of a process too as a writer. Like you
Yeah.
you grow. I mean, so I'm not gonna ask you to choose a favorite because for the interest of like for of the fact that you may want to work with these people again, I'm not going to choose that. But I guess the question I'm going to ask is, of everything you're doing, what surprised you in terms of what genre fit you better than you anticipated, right? And if you were to do something for yourself, right, would you do it?
Probably the young adult fiction, fantasy, has sort of taken me by surprise. I'm really enjoying that. And it's very involved and a lot of research has been involved in it, and that kind of took me by surprise because I'm not a huge fantasy reader and even a sort of a young adult book reader, and I was surprised at how much I'm enjoying actually writing A, that genre, and B, for that sort of target um, audience. So yeah, that might open myself up, I guess, to both, not
Young adult.
necessarily together, but yeah. And that's a huge silver lining of the ghostwriting. Like I said before, you're getting exposure to things that you wouldn't necessarily have written on your own, and you sort of find that yeah, there's some things you enjoy and others maybe not so much.
Yeah. We won't go into that too much because I mean that's just a big no from you. But before we move on, to talk about some of what you're working on, like as in Liz Butcher, rock star, writer extraordinaire, and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to talk about young adult. Like for me, I always like the thing about young adult is in some ways it's simpler. I'm not saying easier. There's a big difference between the two, right?
Yeah.
But I find there's a lot less sometimes in adult fiction there's a degree of clutter that partly because it's you use more the ability to layer some things more. And there's something about a young adult that's sometimes a little more straightforward that I find incredibly refreshing. At the same time, great young adult fiction tends to tackle some incredibly adult themes as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as far as the fantasy goes, like Sarah Moss, Victoria Aveyard, I mean I mean that genre in particular is doing particularly well because it's almost like a resurgence of very old school epic fantasy, which is always
Yeah.
oh, I think still has an audience to this day. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. But you just released the book yourself, so like honestly, like this is, I guess you should ask this, because you are now a full time writer and this is what you do, and you're not doing anything else in terms of a day job. Which, by the way, congrats. I'm trying. I'm getting there, but I'm trying.
You can do it.
Oh, I know. I will do it. I will do it. It's just like I said. I learned a lot the first time I freelanced. The second time, I'm. I guess the biggest lesson I learned last time was, um, I find with going for successful stuff, it's not so much thinking you will succeed. It's also just like learning how to avoid the pitfalls
Yeah.
of what can actually stumble you. And I think as you become more aware of those things, you plan better. Like my big mistake the first time around was figuring out where my specialties were. Right now that I know that, now the next step is build some more capital up again, so I can do what I think I can do better, invest in myself a little bit for a little while, but then and even now start targeting those markets where I feel that my voice can make the biggest impact, so that when I start again, it's not from scratch. It's from, all right, I got a bunch of jobs lined up. Let's go and let's see where they lead from here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that so I mean, for you, I guess the question I'm going to ask here is, yeah, dang cross continent, cross world connections, you know. But you disappeared your second there. I guess the question I'm going to ask is, for you, because not you made it, you crossed over completely. Was this like how long did it take you? And like, did you go through kind of that same like bump and grind of just, hit a wall, go back, get ready, keep going forward, or did it just roll? Did it just hit a certain point where it rolled for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the goal was always I wanted to write full time, but honestly, ever since I started writing, that seemed like a pipe dream that was really like out of reach. And it wasn't until I sort of looked into the ghostwriting and thought, hang on, I can get paid to write. That's pretty cool. And so once I started building up a clientele, it happened all fairly quickly from there. So probably within the space of a couple of months of deciding I wanted to give it a go, I spoke to my boss from my day job. So I worked in a corporate role, and I was very fortunate that in the company that I worked for, they had an option where you could take what they call career leave or a career break. So you could take up to 6 to 12 months unpaid leave to pursue anything that you wanted to, with the benefit of after that time, your job's still there for you. So to me, that kind of seemed like a big sort of hello from the universe that, if you're ever going to take a leap of faith, do it now, because, if it falls through and it doesn't work, you still have a job to fall back on. So my boss was fantastic. As soon as I sort of said that's what I wanted to do, he just sort of fast tracked the whole process. And I did the 6 months because he's like, you're not going to need 12 months. You can do it in 6, and I don't want to see you back because this is your dream. So put your head down, your bum up, and make it happen. So I did. So yeah, it's been over 12 months now writing full time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you seen any of your ghostwritten books out yet?
I have, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
How is that? Because that must be, in one hand, it's not yours, but it's still kind of yours in one hand. Too.
Yeah. The first one, it was weird. Like, so obviously you still have that sense of pride that you have in the excitement of seeing it, because you've put all the work in, and but it is a little strange seeing someone else's uh name on there. but you know what? It is what it is. It allows me to do what I do. So,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it is. It is, and I mean, you go into it knowing that's what's going to happen. You know, you sign the NDAs and you sign over everything, and that's why it pays well because you know you're selling a part of your soul, I suppose. Some people might see it that way, but yeah, and I guess the next
you
pipe dream
sign,
from there is to eventually be able to support myself off my own writing and not need to ghostwrite. But that's now the pipe dream that kind of feels like it's unattainable. So, yeah, it's just been one learning curve after the other.
but I mean, is that really? Do you still look at it like a pipe dream anymore? Because I mean, you just achieved one major one, right? Like the fact that you are writing and you can pay your bills writing,
Mm,
right? And I don't know, like for me, every time I've accomplished something, right, I go, obviously I look for bigger hills to climb
yeah,
because that's just human nature. It's like, you know what, I've done this hill, let's see if I can do another hill, right?
yeah. What's the next challenge?
Yeah, it's next challenge, right? So in your case in particular, I get the impression that I couldn't see it like a pipe dream anymore. I just look at I look at like ever like when I first nominated an award, when I got that and I won it, it occurred to me that I'm good at what I do. Like it's one of those undeniable universal truths that, you know what, people recognize you're good at what you do. And I just got my second one, like I said, like it officially came out this week that one of my books is up for an award. Poetry, something I never would have imagined in a million years. Like I said, it never looks like what you think it's going to look like. But
Yeah.
yet, oddly, it's not that different than I find than the person that's actually making these things happen. It's what I've noticed.
Mm,
And I think in your case in particular, I don't know if I like. For me, it's just like I've achieved this goal, I've achieved this goal. Now I want to achieve other goals and keep going and doing this. And that's who I am. That's what I'm going to do. Um, so I don't look at them no longer as pipe dreams. Now I just look at them as, how do I solve these problems? How do I get to that point? What are my choke points? Like I no longer look. I don't look at it like this. Like, oh my god, I can't do it. No, it doesn't matter what it is. I can do it. Question is, how do I specifically do it? Does that make sense?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I guess for me to make it not a pipe dream and something that I can achieve, I need to um, learn a lot more about marketing because it's not something that I'm naturally good at. And I don't like feeling like I don't know, pushing myself onto people. But that's the silver lining or the downside of being an author is that if you want to be able to be a full-time writer just entirely for your own work, you need people to buy the work. So yeah, I don't know. I need to work on that a lot.
So would you mind me giving you a couple things to think about in terms of marketing? Maybe make it easier, or maybe
Yeah, of course.
at least sillier, right? So my favorite marketer of all time is Macho Man Randy Savage. Okay, and that might sound like really weird. I'm mentioning a professional wrestler, but if you look back, it sounds really weird because, but I find this is I think the truest sense of what you're trying to do. So way back in like the '80s, they would have this guy named Mean Gene Okerlund with a microphone. And he would interview these wrestlers because this is back in the day when they wanted you to leave your house. Okay, think about this challenge. Okay, you're trying to convince somebody to leave their house and come watch you imaginarily kick somebody's butt or have your butt kicked. One or the other. I mean, think about that. Okay. And you got these guys in these larger in life costumes, right, with muscles on their muscles, steroids on their steroids, going, I'm going
Yeah.
to kick your butt, brother. And just, and I mean, it sounds really, 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 really strange. But there are guys that were really good at it. And one of them was Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah, right? That guy that would come on there, he waved his hands like this. He would go out there and this sounds incredibly silly, but he would just be himself. There's a YouTube you can find. It's called Cream of the Crop. It's Macho Man Randy Savage with coffee stuff going, the cream always rises to the top. It's the most absurd thing you'll ever see in your life. But there's some incredibly great lesson in marketing in that manner. And it's this. And something you might, I think marketing, if you really sit there and think about it, it's still storytelling. The story you are telling, though, is this. And this should actually, don't think this is an imposition, think of it as the truth. You're a great writer. That's not, I don't think that's hyperbole. You get paid to write for a living. You are a full-time writer. You're not just like me, part-timing it. If I'm being very honest, like, if I'm being very honest right this minute, I'm still a part-time author. I get paid for my words. I have been paid for my words a few times. Sometimes good payments. I've had kill fees. I've had your fires that you're not ready yet. I've had all the ups and downs that come with it. But I've been paid. You've been paid more. People recognize how good you are at what you do. And your story the story you should tell is, I'm not trying to, no, fuck that. You work your ass off every day at what you do. You, of all people, have a right to say, and you don't have to wear a ridiculous costume and go over the top, like, I'm the best there is, man. You don't need that. You don't necessarily need that. But you got to find that authentic part of yourself. It's like, you know what? I'm great at this. I work my ass off at it, and I work at it every day. And I put my time, my effort, my emotions, my thoughts. That shit matters. It does. If you didn't,
you're right.
If you didn't believe in yourself, and this is why I feel authors are. I think we mindfuck ourselves this way a little bit because we really
absolutely
we mindfuck ourselves. But seriously, if you didn't believe that you were good or that you had something when it wasn't worth saying, you wouldn't pour the hours upon hours into it you do to do it. You wouldn't have a backlog of great books that you've written. You wouldn't be ghostwriting. People wouldn't be coming to you saying, listen, my writing sucks. Can you make it better for me? Right? I mean, and I'm making this sound incredibly silly and energetic and stuff, but Liz Butcher, you're a great writer. And I'm saying that just because that's the truth. Now, yeah, I'm saying that because that's the truth. You are paid for what you do. You are recognized for what you do. You make a living for what you do. And I'm making this very slow and deliberate for this reason. So your challenge is this. It's not so much that you're imposing. Damn right, you're good. Just go. Let your ego out just a little bit. You're good at what you do. Your challenge is this. You got to express it in a way, right, that it's like, I'm Liz, and I write great books. These are the books, and I love these, and be enthusiastic about your shit. Like, okay, see me, I'm this obnoxiously passionate guy with a big mouth. So I can talk to people. See, that's who I am. So I can talk to someone and I can build someone up because that's what I do. And I can build myself up too. I got a huge head, like a big ego, huge head. I can do it. Totally do it.
Yeah, I don't so much. I'm much better.
No. You have an ego, but don't lie to me there. You've been paid for your work. You're a great author. You command a rate probably it's relatively respectful in this industry. You probably have had to learn how to say no to jobs that probably were beneath you and were legitimately beneath you. You have an ego, and actually, it serves you. It does serve you. The trick is, right? Here's the trick. The real trick is find a way to make that little bit of you that has an ego that can come out into the world and tell people that you are great at what you do. Make it fun in a way that you're comfortable with. Don't be somebody you're not. Don't try to be like, I'm obnoxiously loud and braggadocious, and I can do that. I can bring out my inner pro wrestler. It's like, ooh yeah, I can do the hand gestures, and I can have that, and I can be silly. I can make you laugh. I can inspire you. That's who I am. You can be quiet, In fact, you know what? There's nothing wrong with being like quietly confident in what you can do. So what I'm saying to you, and I'm saying this as at least an acquaintance that respects you, if not a friend. I'm not quite sure where we are on dynamic, but I'm going to say at least an acquaintance respects what you have accomplished. Maybe a friend. You're good at what you do. All you really have to do, the real challenge, is conveying that belief to people in a way that you're comfortable doing so. You don't have to be loud. You just have to be sincere.
Yeah.
You figure that out, you will sell. And you will sell well. Because you're good.
Wise words, Josh.
Yes. And you enjoyed that. I love it because I got a few smiles. I even got a little blush out of that. So it's just like, but you're good at what you do. And I'm gonna harp on this one more second, and then we'll move on to something else. If you didn't believe it, you wouldn't do it. You do believe it. So don't hide from that. Don't mind fuck yourself. Say, no. This is the one thing, Americans do this better than anybody else. Because they understand this. And this is the one thing, like, say what you will about their culture, they get this. I'm loud and I'm proud of who I am. Say what you will about how noxious that can be. Right?
Yeah.
There's something that works about it because I can go into the United States. I learned how to sell in the United States. I would do this event in Phoenix called First Friday. And I had me and like this little so this isn't my book. I'm just going to do this because she's got a great book. This is my friend Mia. This is her book. It looks really cool. And hi Mia, how you doing? Here's the thing, right? I'd have a book like that on a table, and beside me would be like some of the most beautiful art I've ever seen. I'm looking around and like, what the hell am I doing here? What do I have that they don't? My big mouth, and that's when I learned how to talk to people. Because it's like, if I don't do that, I'm gonna get killed. I'm gonna get killed. One night, I literally was right beside a rock concert and like the most beautiful stained glass windows I've ever seen in my life. I did not fit there at all. I was looking around, it's like, talk about feeling inadequate. That was me. It's like, I have a book, and it's a book, but I decided that I would have to be like loud and proud about my book. And you know what? People look. Some people even bought that night, right? And that is marketing in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
And this is one thing. Like a lot of people make fun of American culture, but this is the one thing they do right. They do absolutely 100% correct. Show that you're proud of your work, and people will at least give you a look. So why are you so proud of your work? And maybe read a few words of your stuff. You're like, holy shit, she's good, right? And that's right. But that's the thing. Like, right. That the other challenge authors have, unlike any other form of art, we are asking for a time sink. Like, what we actually are doing is we're making people hallucinate a story with their imagination. Like that. That's what we do. We create wild hallucinations and experiences for like seriously, man. I should like come out like characters like, hey man, I'm gonna get you dreaming things you never thought possible, man. Here's the book. This is the drug of choice, man. Just read a few pages and you'll go to a completely another world. It's the truth. It's the truth, right?
It is, yeah. It's a pretty good way to look at it.
Yeah, right. It's the truth. But but the thing is, you have to. The trick we have, like from a marketing standpoint, is we have to get people to commit to the time. Once they're committed, they're in, right? But you gotta get them to commit to that time first. Whereas if you gotta look at a painting or a song or you know, like stained glass windows or earrings or pottery, it doesn't, like, in all the other form of art forms, you can kind of see it already. So you get a sense of what that experience is going to be like, to hold it, to own it, to that. Book doesn't have that. A book, you have to literally go inside beyond the cover.
Yeah.
To go and actually see what the books are about. Right? And that's something like we all like that's our, again, looking at the specific challenges in marketing. So now upon talking to you, like I have this, like, again, I almost should like do like these drug binge tinge style like marijuana hallucinogen like commercials like, hey man, one shot of my stuff and you'll go to another world where like unicorns talk out of their butts and stuff, right? And it's like, I'm in, man. I don't know. But yeah, like yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna harp on the marketing stuff for too much longer. But all I will say is, look at what the honestly look at what the Americans do.
Yeah.
Because that's the one they do. There's a lot of things they do wrong, but that they do right. Right? Give the devil their due. All right. So, but back to you. So she's like, oh God, where is he going now? But so like you released your own book this year. So yeah, what's your like schedule now between ghostwriting and your publishing of your books? Like, so what like do you have like so ghostwriting? You've done this for a year now. How many books can you comfortably write in a year?
For other people or myself?
Actually, I know, like altogether, like because
Altogether.
because honestly, in a situation like what you have, right, you have to figure out how to manage your time because you do want to release your stuff to build your name up. Because even like if you still keep ghostwriting well into the future, the bigger your name value is, the bigger your asking price can be, right? Because you are who you are, so it makes sense to keep releasing books under your name. But you also have other books for clients to do. But now that you're writing full time, like what's your comfort level? Like how many books can you do in a year?
I think it really just depends on length and genre. But generally, if I'm having a good day and I'm not, stuffing around on my phone or whatever, procrastinating, I can easily write 10,000 words a day. So if I'm focused and as I said, not distracted, I could write several books in a year. Just
several. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. No, I just bring up the magic number in my head because like if you can like because it's because again one of the big things about even being a freelancer is time management. Like you gotta learn how to manage how to get your shit done. Like I'm trying to finish my next book that I announced I'm releasing in November. It's almost done. I'm about I'd say just a little over halfway or around halfway done the book in terms of what I'm doing, and I'm already. But I'm like I don't know if see now I like for myself I can do 2 to 3 books a year for myself. Now if I had a steady income that was more writing based, maybe it'd be closer to 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Right. I could do 5 or 6 books a year. Getting to that point is that's in my head that's my magic challenge. 6 books a year, and I'll be rich and shameless. Well, at least shameless. So, but also I should now going forward I should ask this. You've written that full time for a year. How much has your writing improved now that you've actually got the time to fully just work on that?
Oh, it's improved a lot. If any, like it's the biggest improvement would just be speed because I'm doing it full time. So I'm sort of surprised myself at how much I can actually get done in a day if I'm not stuffing around. But I think also too being exposed to new genres and different types of books like nonfiction and whatever, it can only improve your writing because you are learning new skills essentially. So looking back on to even where I was a year ago, quite remarkable how much I've improved. But that's how it should be, regardless of sort of what you're doing. I guess if you're not improving, then you're not maybe learning or growing. So I'm all for looking for ways to improve.
Do you do any other art? Like other art forms at all? Like do you paint? Do you do music? Do you do anything else?
I did used to. I'm a big music nerd. I can't really play any instrument well, but I listen to a ton of music, and I did used to paint when I had a little bit more free time. In the little downtime I get, I knit a lot. I'm not someone that is good at sitting and doing nothing. That makes me really quite agitated. So if I'm just sitting watching a movie or something like that, I'll knit. So that's kind of about as creative as I get, aside from my writing these days.
Okay, so I asked this because see, one of the other things I've done is I've started drawing in the last year,
Yeah,
right? And I draw actually with some people on my show, and I've been amazed at how much I've gotten better just doing the little I have,
yeah,
and and it's like, but also I find it also has altered my writing somewhat because it's almost like when I do a new skill or apply a new tool, it's like I learn another language, and that
yeah,
language actually helps me with my actual like art. It actually refines my voice a little bit because now I know how to. It's like it's one of the things I've noticed about life as I've gotten older slash wiser. It's details, right? The more details you know and can understand, the better. I mean, you have to think a lot more. It takes sometimes it slows down your production a little bit, but it's all on one hand at first, but on the other hand, it makes you such a better creative because
yeah.
you can see layers you never would have seen before. And I think it's on, and so maybe for you, those other genres is like learning cool new swear words you can add now into your own manuscripts that'll make it better or make it give it a little bit more color and flavor.
Mm.
Is that how you kind of see it? Is it more like that or?
Yeah, well, I think so. I think it's like that with life in general, though. I guess the more you're exposed to, the more, like you said, there's all different layers that you can draw from. So it's very much the same with the writing. So I think, yeah, the more you can do that, the better you're going to be.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Um, so you got any more book? Like you got the book you released in April. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? I mean, we danced around that a bit, so let's talk about it.
Yeah, so it's actually a fairy tale retelling, which I kind of always said I wasn't going to do, but the idea came and I just had to do it. So it's actually a Peter Pan retelling, but it's set in the here and now. And Wendy Darling, who was I think a teenager or early teenager in the original uh, story, is now an adult. She's a detective, and she's haunted by the trauma of her abduction at the hands of this entity called Pan when she was a teenager. And a local girl goes missing from her room in the middle of the night, much like she herself did. And so Wendy's on the case, and it ends up being a trap because Pan has found his way back into our realm to uh, abduct her again. But there's all a lot of stuff going on with her family. So her brothers, Peter, Michael, and John, and her the skeletons are coming out of the family closet. So you get to see quite just how bound she is to this Pan creature.
So no, I Peter Pan's interesting because I've seen some really interesting retellings of the character. Mom did a really fun one where he's more like a force of nature than say a human being. And if you actually read the story, Disney made Peter Pan a lot nicer in that
Yeah,
than he really was. He was actually he's almost and maybe this is where like you might find that you mentioned fairy, right? He's almost like one of the fae that kidnaps children and other things and takes them to another world altogether, expecting
yeah,
to never leave, right? And it sounds like there's like for you, I mean, this sounds like that's kind of a big theme. It's like Wendy never fully left Neverland. She whatever happened to her there changed her like permanently, and she's never been able to fully let go. And something like Peter Pan would be like her worst nightmare. And it's
exactly.
so there.
And I guess that's the way with any kind of trauma. It, you never leave it behind. Um, and that's very much at the core of uh, the character Wendy in my book, is that even though she managed to escape the first time, um, a part of a part of him's always been with her because that's the only realistic way to um, have a character that's undergone trauma. They can't be okay after experiencing something like that. So she's very much haunted by it, and also her recollections of what happened to her um, aren't clear, um, and that has also troubled her. So, I mean, obviously, she thinks this entity called Pan is not human, but she's in the real world, and so as an adult and a detective who is very much focused on what the tangible and what's real, has trouble, I guess, trying to deal with the fact that her recollections of from her trauma seem completely unrealistic and implausible. So yeah, I think that's just kind of taken it sort of just to the next level, I think.
Well, I think the interesting thing about trauma is I had like in the last year especially, we all had a little personal taste of trauma, and I realized like I understood it a little bit more personally. Trauma, like when you're traumatized by something, it's an inability to. We all go through pain in life,
Yeah,
but one of the beautiful things about human nature is we have a tendency to forget, not like fully forget something, but we forget how painful in time when we heal, we
yeah,
forget a bit of the pain we were going through in those moments in time. And that's when you know you're recovering from an experience, right? You never fully forget the experience, but you forget the pain it leaves you. Trauma people cannot forget, and that's
yeah,
what and that's what makes and so what happens is if you can't forget, the body compensates in other ways that are very unhealthy, which is why her recollections are hazy and stuff like that. So that's spoiling too much. Did you give Wendy a chance to possibly forget a little bit?
not telling.
Okay, read and find out, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
That's it.
But did you have fun? Like, did you have fun taking something like that familiar and kind of putting it
Yeah, I
in it?
really did. And throwing my own sort of twists and turns in there was really cool. I don't think I'd do another fairy retelling, although I said I'd never do one full stop. But um, yeah, I think because when the idea came to me, it was so far removed from the original that I thought that it would work. And yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed doing it. It was fun.
I so for me that tale is Alice in Wonderland. That's the one I'm
Yeah,
retelling right now. But I'm doing it. I'm doing like I mashed Alice with Greek mythology.
yeah,
Right, right. So it's a different story, but yet it's not right because
yeah,
but I think what makes like retelling so cool is much like everything else. Like much we forget something I think as authors too. Once our story is out into the world, it's not just our story anymore.
mm,
It's the person that interacts with the story that adds or detracts from the experience of that story, right? So I tend to think like that the reason why like you see retellings of Alice or Peter Pan or Snow White or Sleeping Beauty or the Jungle Book or like any of these really old tales is because when we were kids and we experienced all this stuff for the first time, it made an impact on us. And I think one of the really cool things about that is we get this chance to like Alice in Wonderland as a kid didn't really hit me. As an adult, I saw it as something like a lot more,
yeah,
right? And because of that, it was like okay, and now it's like it's a piece of my own literary career. I did an Alice in Wonderland retelling, which is kind of
yeah.
fun, right? But I had something that was mine to say. Do you feel the same thing? Like with Peter, you may not ever do another story, but with Peter Pan, do you feel like that's
Yeah, absolutely. Just yeah, it's I mean very far removed from the original, but it's definitely got its own I guess, set of messages to sort of put out there. I guess, like you said, so you've taken that little bit of um, literary history and sort of put your own tag on it, so to speak.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, did you like the Peter Pan movie from Disney? I'm just bringing
I
this up.
did when I was a kid. Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually preferred when I was a little bit older. I don't know if you ever saw Hook with Robin Williams.
Yes.
Yeah, I preferred that version. Was really awesome. I loved that one.
It's one of those stories where I almost feel sorry for Hulk a little bit. I
Yeah,
almost,
almost.
almost, almost.
Mm,
I understand some of it, not all, but some of it. I understand, right?
yeah.
Although I will say for me, and maybe I'm just a terrible human being. My favorite character in the Disney Peter Pan movie was the crocodile. Just I'm just, there's something about. I think it's just because his wants were so very like simple, and he got it, and you're like, I,
Yeah.
I just enjoyed. I always enjoyed that gag in the Bugs Bunny cartoons. So maybe there's just an immaturity on my end that I have to work on at some point. But that's me. But you said you never do another one. At least you say so right now. So you got something else coming out this year too?
Nothing else releasing. Still writing. So I'm working on my first series and my next novel. So hoping to have something to release next year if I can work it. Uh, but yeah,
So this is
watch
your
this
first. This is
space.
your first. This is your first. So this is your first series. So I guess this. Cool thing about like one and done books is you tell your story and you can walk away. With the series, it's a lot more work keeping all the details in your head and on page or in my case a game board, so I actually know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, so I guess what I'm asking is when had you gone into how many books are in your series? If you don't mind, do you have an idea what that number is going to be? Is it three, four, like what?
Yeah, I think at this stage, I've got, I think, 6 or 7 sort of loosely mapped out. Um, that may change, but that's sort of my rough idea at the moment.
So okay, so you got a six, seven book series. Did you ever imagine yourself doing a 6, 7 book series, or were you always figure you just be a one and done? Let's tell my cool little story that spooks, scares, makes you think, the thriller, or
Yeah, I've always been just a standalone novel kind of writer, but I guess the idea that I had for this particular project was just too large. And I thought it kind of really does need to be a series, I felt, to be able to do it justice. And originally thought of just doing like a 3 book series, but the way I've kind of been developing it, it does make more sense to do it as a series. So it wasn't that I sort of said I want to write a series. What can I write about? So just the idea came first, and then I sort of decided, yeah, I think it's going to need to be a series. But like you said, it does present a whole new set of challenges that you don't get from writing an actual novel, which is why it's taking me a lot longer to sort of plan it out. And then there was sort of some writers write the whole series all at once, some don't. So it's just, I guess, trying to find my new stride in this different sort of type of story as to what's going to work best for me.
no, I get that. Like for me, I did I. It's not quite the same thing because my series was an epic poetry, and I do have another like series, like a sci-fi series on the go, and I'm
Mm.
going to be starting my next one before I start in book one of my next series before I go back into book two of it. But the biggest thing is, um, I always worry when I do a book book in my head. I have a story in my head. I always feel like I have a limited window of time to tell that story because I feel like my voice being what it is right now only exists for like a set amount of time. Then I get older, wiser, I have more life experiences, and I become this
Yeah.
different person, right? it's possible I'll even be more obnoxious later than I am now. I mean, it's entirely a possibility. I know it's hard to believe, but yeah, right. Or maybe I'll be maybe more humble. Maybe I'll be happier. Maybe I'll be sadder. Maybe like we change as we get older. And
Yeah.
I think the reason why a series like a 6 or 7 book series is always been kind of like I'm not sure I'll ever do one is because I'm like because I'm such a different guy. Like even me 5 years ago and to me now, I'm
Yeah.
such a different guy. I don't know if I can keep. I did like my poetry series over like a 3 year span, or 3 4 year
Mm.
span. And Alice, like my current poetry series with Alice in Wonderland, I got like another 2 books in there, and that will be done, and everything like that. And it's like when I'm doing them, it's like yeah, I don't know. Like if I go past that, it's like, will my Alice be the same Alice if I go longer, or will she be like a very different person because I'm a different person? Does that make sense?
Yeah. But I think that's part of the reason I've opted to go for a series with this particular one because my main character um, has a massive amount of growth potential. So um, that was one of the reasons that I felt I couldn't cram it all into a novel realistically. She's got a long journey ahead of her. So I'm not concerned really about that being an issue because the point for her character is to grow and change progressively over the course of each book. So, yeah, I think that is actually going to work. Whereas I don't think it would work in a novel because it would be just too unrealistic to try and cram it all into one book.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you can learn how to do that. David Eddings kind of figured out how to take his like Bulgaria. He told that story in 5 books, and
Yeah,
another 5 books, which you can say okay, whatever. Then he did 3, and he finally did it in 1. And the one
yeah,
and it was like I think you can figure out how to break a story down that way, but sometimes you just need to get like that growth because the story is big enough.
yeah,
It can definitely grab people for a very very long time. So
mm.
having fun with it.
Yeah. Um, I've got like a whole book and folder of pictures and ideas and images and trying to work out what's going to happen in which book and really enjoying putting the characters together for this one. Yeah, it's almost I don't know how to explain it. It's very different, I think, to planning a novel because I kind of feel that like I know what the end game is, but there's so many I guess hurdles to be jumped over, and you've got to try and work out the spacing so that each book is equally as exciting as the last, and it's just a lot of fun trying to piece it all together. But I'm a nerd like that. I enjoy all that sort of research um, stages and everything.
Well, I think for me it's the fact that so my way of kind of doing it is try to tell like a full story within that book I'm doing because
Yeah, exactly.
I find I hate the cliffhanger approach. No, you got to wait till the next book to figure out what happens. Like no, no, I don't wanna. I don't wanna. Give me a full story now. Don't give me like I can have more things happen down the road, but
Yeah,
I want my story. I want my whole cake now. Give me my cake. Right. I'm not encouraging everyone to just eat a giant thing of cake. I'm not saying that. I'm just treating it like a good story. A good story is like a wonderful bowl of ice cream. You can just like you want to just you don't want to wait. You just don't. You just want to devour. And you can have like you can tease me with more stuff later, but you want that ice cream now.
yeah,
I think that's a. I think one of the things I've noticed with series now is that they recognize that you don't want that weak middle book anymore, or you don't want those weak middle books. What you want is like book one's a good story, and book two's a better story, and book three is a
yeah,
better story, and book four I have a problem because now I can't put it down. Where's the fifth book? And then like that's what you want, right? That's what you're going for. So
yeah. We'll see.
we'll see.
I
We'll
don't
see.
tend to. I'm not really a writer that ends things cleanly. So that might be a bit of a challenge for me. So you probably wouldn't like my books because they don't end
I don't need a happy ending.
cleanly.
I don't even need a. It's not even about necessarily like a clean ending. I don't want. Life's not clean. Look,
No.
even like there are relationships that I've had. Now I'm not talking just like relationships with boyfriend girlfriend, with friends, everything else, friends, people I meet. Very rarely in real life does it end cleanly. Just one day you move on or they move on, and
Yeah.
that's a normal part of life because we all kind of go our own way. And people have a tendency to come with you to a point and then they go away at a certain point.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's life. It's not a good or bad thing. It's life. So one of the lessons it's taught me is I try to treat every conversation like it is going to, not necessarily like that fatalistic. It's that final conversation.
Yeah.
More like, well, this is an opportunity. I get an opportunity to talk to Liz Butcher, author extraordinaire, from across the pond. She's laughing, but it's the truth, right? This is. I don't know how many more conversations we're going to have, like realistically speaking, right?
Yeah.
If we have more, I think we will, but how many more, I couldn't tell you. So if I treat them all as a special thing, then that's a wonderful thing going forward.
Yeah.
In a story, it's the same thing. Like I don't necessarily need that. I don't need that clean. I don't necessarily need to have that clean. Everybody lives happily ever after, or everybody dies. You only did the everybody dies ending once, really. You get one, and it has to be good. Right? So, but there's also like recognizing what people have come to see in your story too. And you have to recognize, like, okay, what is the story I'm telling? What are the expectations I'm playing with? And do I subvert them here? Or do I just go with them, but do it in a way that you'll enjoy the experience? And that's storytelling 101 right there. It's like expectations. What's the story? What's the expectations I am creating telling the story? And where can I screw with my readers?
Yeah. It's a challenge. It's all part of the fun, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to ask one final question, and then we can get to the wonderful plugging of the stuff. Do you enjoy subverting expectations, or do you enjoy fulfilling them? What's more fun for you?
Exceeding.
That's a good answer. I like that. I like that.
Who doesn't like to exceed expectations? I like to exceed my own expectations.
That's actually a good way of being. Like honestly, that's honestly. I think the one thing I guess we can wrap up are the interview-ish stuff on this point. I think if people look at themselves honestly, like, and yeah, I'm quietly like building you up a little bit throughout. But if you look back at everything you've done, like every journey you've gone, it's an incredible journey. Almost everybody has this incredible story of what they've been through and overcome and done. It's like,
exactly.
Wow. And so, I mean, can we exceed our expectations? I think we do all the time. I just think sometimes I think the question sometimes is, do we recognize that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it would probably pay to sort of make that time to recognize that you've exceeded your own expectations and celebrate it when you exceed your own expectations. It doesn't really matter whether you exceed anybody else's expectations. It's just, whether you're moving forward enough to exceed your own.
Yeah. So maybe next time I come on, since Liz Butcher, full-time author, right, full-time writer, maybe next time it's like Liz Butcher, best-selling author? Maybe.
You never know. A lot can happen in a very short space of time.
Very much so. So I think we have an interview here. What do you think, Miss Liz?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. anyone here watching or listening, yeah, I can't help it. The Macho Man's my marketing guru. It's just the way it is. I've told that story a few times on here. So but I do like, I do feel like, yeah, it's an important lesson I think authors need to know. But in your case, so we'll promote Never Never for sure. Do you want to promote your ghostwriting services as well? Like, what do you want to promote here?
Yeah, well, Never Never for sure. And then if there's anybody interested in talking to me about the ghostwriting, they can just go to my website. And there's details on there, and yeah, go from there.
What's your website for people that
Yeah, so it's www.lizbutcher.com.au.
.au
Yeah.
like that?
Yep.
Okay,
That's it. That's the one.
that's the one. And you check out Never Never. Put it on order. I kind of put it on order. It looks really good and it sounds really fun. So, and hey, making dreams come true. So, is there anywhere else you want people to go to find to before I wrap up? Like your social media, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm across all social media, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram under at Luna Lovelies, or Facebook. But I'm pretty sure all the links are on the website anyway. So yeah, easy enough to find.
No problem. Well, folks, this is this wonderful, slightly later edition of the interview. But that's awesome because Liz.
Sorry.
No, it's not. It's just the way it worked. It worked. We still had a wonderful chat, and honestly,
Yeah.
I appreciate that in of itself. Liz is based out of Australia. She's a great writer, really fun person, and definitely should check her out wherever books are sold. For me personally, I got one more episode this week, and then tomorrow I'm also doing some presentations as part of Conduit, a Twitch only convention. I'll be doing that this weekend. In light of everything else I'm doing, it kind of slipped my mind. I'm doing some presentations, so it's like I gotta get my shit together. But I am getting my shit together. Beyond all that, I made the announcement this week. Alice 1 is available. It will be coming out November 1st, 2021. Alice 0 is nominated for the Elgin Award from the Science Fiction Poetry and Fantasy Poetry Association, which is really cool. And for everybody else, tomorrow I'm drawing some more cool stuff. Let me know what you want me to draw tomorrow. I'm actually kind of like flipping on that. What I'm going to be doing. My guest is Shawnee O. She's back for some more. And for everybody watching, listening, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.